Rolex has finally released the new Daytona to the market. So what does that mean for the prices of steel Daytonas moving forward? This is George Reed. I'm Elizabeth Smith. We've been making videos about Daytonas for years now, but we've been doing watches even longer. We're with Oliver Smith Jeweler, a family-owned watch and jewelry business. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona, also Aspen, Colorado. Feel free to check us out online. So our first Daytona video we did a couple years ago, and this was before COVID, before all the craziness, and we were talking about how it was a good place to park your money for $30K.
Yeah.
But this one here in the black dial, pre-owned, we are selling for $26,500. And I hope this video doesn't date ourselves because it might be more by the time you see this.
Yeah, it's amazing to think back well, and it's funny because every Daytona video we've done, looking back, was completely true at the time. But it is such a barometer for the market in general, the Rolex market, the watch market. It's really been our watermark for navigating these tumultuous seas.
Yes, it's really the apex predator of the watch collecting world.
No, it's absolutely a fact.
We like to say, and we're talking about the stainless steel ceramic Daytona, even the white dial, this 116-500.
Specifically.
And the new release is the 126-500. But kind of going back to the pricing along the years. So I pulled some old pricing that we have internally on this Daytona. So back in 2017, George sold the watch for $16,500.
That's amazing. I can't. So retail at that time, and it's funny. Retail at the time was probably around $9,000. So it does still compete, I guess.
Yeah, good point.
It's always been close to a double up, and that's kind of where my comfort level is. But I want those days back.
Just to hear about it.
I missed that. Yeah.
So then in 2019, $25,500.
Yep. Yeah, and that seems about right as well for the timing.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to note that in the 2017, right when you're selling it, that's when the original Paul Newman went to auction for over $17 million. So and we kind of use that as the barometer to kind of kick off this craze of the Daytona pre-owned watch world. 2020, when we made our first video, $26,500. Good place to park $30K, right?
Yep.
March of 2022, so we're in the thick of COVID, thick of kind of the watch craze.
The road to Daytona, the trial to get one, how much money you have to spend, holds water all the way up to 50.
Okay. Like, where does it stop? That's who you're...
That was our thought process then, And sure enough, about a month ago, really, the white Daytona, it broke 50,000.
54,000 is where we topped out selling this Daytona, and we talked about what happens when you hit 50K.
Well, yeah, because I postulated in one of our previous videos that the run up on Daytona made sense till around the 50,000 mark. And then other watches start to maybe get in the way. You start looking at bigger, different pieces. So we were right. And that was really the crescendo of the market. I don't think the market could have taken any more than that for a watch that's arguably $14,000.
Didn't make sense for us,
That was heavy. None of us really, we sold at 54,000. We didn't make any money. We were buying them high. We were selling them high. It was just a crazy time, and I'm really glad things have finally tamped down. It's a little bit what we're going to talk about now is the current market.
The tamp down.
What the new one coming in might do to that market as well, and where our next prediction is for where you might want to sink your next 30,000.
Yeah. So today we're sitting right around, I would say, like 32,500, kind of a place to play. Right. So there's been a little bit of tamp down. We don't like those videos that were like the Rolex market is crashing. It's kind of followed the times.
I prefer correction.
Correction.
It's where it's supposed to be. We've talked about it in every single video. The stainless steel Daytona going into the secondary market is expensive. But it's still so much cheaper than getting it new. And here's why, for just a primer for you guys. Particularly the stainless steel Daytona is not a watch you can buy at retail. You just can't. To put yourself in a position to spend that $14,000 will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in relationship fees and years of your life. Or you just hit the secondary market and it's a double up. So I think still completely worth it.
Right.
Around that 30,000 mark is fine.
It's good. It makes sense.
32 on the white, 28 on the black. Okay, yeah. I'm completely good with that. That's where that feels right to me.
So we had a big anniversary for the Daytona this year, and at the beginning of 2023, Rolex announced the updated Daytona. A couple very subtle changes, but subtle changes in the Rolex world are a huge deal. And we've been waiting all year, and we are finally seeing the Daytona hit the market.
Well, it's funny. Elizabeth and I saw it at Watches and Wonders. Kind of walked by the Daytona window. I didn't think anything of it. We just kind of kept moving on, looking at other stuff. There was puzzle dials and celebrations and stuff. There was a lot to look at.
Emojis.
And it wasn't until that night out at dinner, and there's a couple guys at the bar, and they're like arguing over the fact that the ceramic bezel's now an insert. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's more to see here. So we actually went back the next day and I studied it a little bit more. And okay, all right, kind of figuring it out. But again, not seismic shifts in the Daytona.
No. Big change in the movement. It was the first movement update since Rolex started the Daytona over 20 years ago.
Yeah, the 4130 became the 4131.
Automatic. And then looking at the dial, it's proportional adjustments, I think is what they said.
They made the case bigger and the sub-dials thinner. And ultimately, somebody was calling it the maxi case Daytona, and I kind of like that. The crown guards are thicker. The lugs are not only symmetrical now, but thicker.
Yes.
It's more of a sportier watch. It's a bigger watch. But I think that also kind of hurts it a little bit in some areas. So now we're getting a little bit into prediction. I'm Irish. I don't like change.
I think with the sub-dials especially being smaller, to me the watch looks more modern. And I think that's because as technology moves forward, things tend to get smaller. So the watch looks a little bit leaner. Like the sub-dials to me, it looks smaller. I actually don't see that much bigger when I look at it straight on. However, when you have a cleaner dial, smaller sub-dials, it will wear larger.
And white tends to open it up, black tends to shrink it. And
I think wearing it, it'll look bigger.
I think moving forward, that might be the Achilles heel for the 1-2 as opposed to the 1-1. What I feel is that people are going to gravitate towards the new version in black.
Okay.
I think that's going to shrink it up a little bit. All those little idiosyncrasies are kind of go away on that one. And okay, we haven't been wrong yet. I think the one to maybe watch is not the new white Daytona, but the previous white Daytona. I think as the 1-2 comes out into the world and more people get their hands on it, there will be this gravitation back towards the last one. And maybe it's just an old school thing, but I think that was maybe, it was just really a perfect watch. And I think all the changes really show in the white one more than the black. So
I would agree with that.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
Price-wise, do you think that on the secondary market they will sort of follow each other? There'll be a difference?
So initially there'll be a spike in the new.
Of course,
there always is. Right now, the few that have kind of slipped out in the secondary markets are already $40,000. But that's the tax you pay for being the kid on the block with the new toy first. You know, and I have no problem with that either.
The party.
Yeah, if you have to be that guy, cool. I totally get it. And yeah, go out and get it because I still think at $40,000 makes sense. That's not where it's going to end up. They'll both sink down to around that 30 mark, that double up, if you will. And then eventually, I think, again, you're going to see the spikes in the older white version and the new black are going to be the ones that come up.
So that's based more upon demand, what you're thinking like people want, not so much what's on the market.
Correct, yeah. So demand's going to be primary, and then secondary is going to be collector's eyes and what they're into. And a lot of people like us talking on the YouTube and help people figure it out. So I always appreciate you listening to us. But yeah, I think that's where it's going to end up. And if you are ever in the position to get that white gold Daytona one, the special edition, that's God tier. There's not a better watch out there.
Video.
There hasn't been a better Daytona ever made. If you can get that at $50,000, for the love of God, get it and bring it into me because I really want to see it.